Hello and welcome everybody for a webinar on new chapter today, and that is neuroanatomy. My dear students, we have recently completed our studies on the anatomy of skull, and now we will begin with the first episode of neuroanatomy. So I welcome you all for this new chapter on neuroanatomy, episode first. In neuroanatomy, we have to study brain in more details. So that is why I have decided to uh, take this topic, this new chapter for 4, 5, 6 episodes. So today is our first episode, and more introductory part will be taken today as far as the neuroanatomy is concerned. At the outset, let me tell you that the neuroanatomy means the study of anatomy of the nervous system. So in nervous system, we have the major organ, that is brain. So nervous system consists of two parts, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So in central nervous system, we have a brain and spinal cord. And in peripheral nervous system, we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. The more emphasis will be given on the study of brain as far as neuroanatomy is concerned. And that is why we will start the study of brain today. At the outset, let me tell you that the brain is the highest controlling and coordinating organ of our body, because central nervous system, as we have learned through general neurology earlier, that it is the chief controlling and coordinating system of our body, and brain is the main organ of nervous system. So brain is also called as encephalon. So encephalon is more scientific word as compared to brain, because brain is an English word and encephalon is a scientific word. But the meaning is very, simple. En means inside, cephalon means head. The thing which is present in the head is called as encephalon. So simple. So let us understand the parts of brain, and that is in terms of encephalon. Okay. So while studying embryology, I have told you that there is something called as neurulation, that is formation of neural tube from which the brain gets develops in eventual period. And the neural tube looks like this. You can see through this image, it is a it's having anterior or rostral end, it is having a posterior caudal end. The posterior caudal end is continuous later on with the spinal cord, and neural tube unions eventually gets converted into primary brain vesicles or vesicles. You can see these three vesicles. Okay, vesicles, broadening of the tube at certain points. So this is a front vesicle which we eventually give rise to forebrain. Forebrain means prosencephalon. This is a middle vesicle which will give rise to mesencephalon. Mesencephalon means midbrain, and the last vesicle, and that is going to give rise to a hindbrain, which is called as rhomencephalon. So prosencephalon, mesencephalon, and rhomencephalon are called as forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So after primary brain vesicles, secondary brain vesicles get formed, and by this time, most of the outline of the brain is decided. And here you can see the forebrain is further getting divided into telencephalon and diencephalon, as whereas the midbrain remains the same as a mesencephalon. And rhomencephalon also gets divided into two parts, that is metencephalon and myelencephalon. If you see this telencephalon, diencephalon, mesencephalon, metencephalon, myelencephalon, they will give rise to adult brain structures such as telencephalon will give rise to cerebrum and basal nuclei. Okay, the cerebrum has got a cortex and white matter, so gray matter, white matter, plus there is a basal nuclei. Diencephalon will give rise to thalamus, hypothalamus, epithalamus, metathalamus, and other related structures. Mesencephalon will be your midbrain in adult brain, and metencephalon will form second part of brainstem, that is pons, as well as cerebrum, and myelencephalon will form third part of brainstem, that is medulla oblongata. And below that, below the forebrain, there will be a spinal cord continuation. So in adult brain, all these brain structures will have cavities inside them, and those cavities are called as ventricular system of the brain, because they are inside the brain, and that is required for the circulation of CSF. So in cerebrum, there are two hemispheres, so we get two ventricles, and these two ventricles are first and second, so they are called as lateral ventricles. Also little part of third ventricle, but third ventricle is the cavity of diencephalon. So forebrain itself has got these two lateral ventricles and 1/3 ventricles, so 3 ventricles altogether. So in the midbrain, there is no ventricle, but there is a duct of CSF, which is called as cerebral aqueduct. And in the hindbrain, okay, there is a 4th ventricle, and 4th ventricle is between pons and medulla oblongata in front and cerebellum behind. So in between that, there is a 4th ventricle. So this is all outline of the encephalon, or you can say outline of the brain, which we are going to study one by one. We'll start with telencephalon today. That means cerebrum, I'll tell you. So let us see the whole image of a human brain here. It looks quite natural, okay? You can see the cerebrum here, and you can see the cerebellum here, and a part of brainstem you can see here. Okay. Now, what are the structures and functions of the human brain in one sentence? If you say the main 3 parts of the cerebrum are, main 3 parts of the brain are cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. Large brain, small brain, and a stem. Okay, and the brain is divided into various regions that control specific functions. Let us have a look at real brain of a child. So this is a real brain of a child. It is not fully developed. We can see that there are much more sulci and gyri here, plus the cerebellum is not fully developed. You can see the cerebellum here, really small brain, okay, and you can see the brainstem here. So midbrain is hidden inside it. This is the pons and this is medulla oblongata, further continuing the spinal cord. Now let us begin with our proper study of brain today with these 6 major parts. Brain has got these 6 major parts. So cerebrum and basal nuclei. So cerebrum and basal nuclei, they together form a telencephalon. And then below the telencephalon, there is a diencephalon. So telencephalon, diencephalon makes your prosencephalon. Prosencephalon is forebrain. Then you get a midbrain, which is called as mesencephalon. Then we study the remaining 2 parts of the brainstem, because midbrain is considered as a part of brainstem first. Second is pons, third is medulla oblongata, and finally we study the cerebellum. Okay, so pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum, these are the parts of the rhombencephalon. Rhombencephalon means hindbrain. Okay, and midbrain means mesencephalon. So we'll study today the first part of brain, that is forebrain. So in forebrain we have got 2 parts, that is telencephalon consists of 2 parts. Forebrain consists of telencephalon and diencephalon, but in telencephalon there are again 2 parts, cerebrum and basal nuclei. So we study cerebrum. We can see the cerebrum from inferior surface here. You can see the cerebrum, and you can see the cerebellum here, and plus a brainstem consisting of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. In other pictures, all these parts are not clearly seen, because some parts get hidden. You can see the cerebrum here in C diagram, and cerebellum here, and brainstem, pons, and medulla oblongata. So some of the things get hidden, okay? And here you can see only cerebellum in case of B. Well, what is the total weight of a brain? If you say it is about 1400 grams, that is 1.5 kilogram in males, whereas it is 1200 grams in case of females, with a volume of around 1260 cubic centimeter in men and 1130 cubic centimeter in women. Okay, men with the same body weight and body surface area as women have on an average 100 gram heavier brains. So at least 100 grams brain is heavier in case of males, but it doesn't correlate with IQ. You know, IQ is an intelligent question, because ladies are more intelligent than gents. So it happens more in case of students. Girls are very scholars in as compared to boys. So, but anatomically, structurally, 100 gram brain is heavier in case of males. The cerebrum is the largest part of the human brain and is situated above most of other brain structures, and it is covered with a cortical layer or cortex, which is called as gray matter, which is convoluted, which has convoluted topography. Convoluted means which has got convolutions, so elevations and depressions. Okay, underneath the cerebrum lies a brainstem, which resembles a stalk on which the cerebrum is attached. At the rear of the brain, beneath the cerebrum, and behind the brainstem there is a cerebellum. It is a structure with a horizontally furrowed surface that makes it look different from other brain areas. We have seen that through images. Now let us proceed with today's study, that is telencephalon. And telencephalon has got two parts, cerebrum proper and basal nuclei. Okay, cerebrum is made up of cerebral cortex as well as white matter. Basal nuclei is a deep, gray matter which is below the cerebrum at the base. So they are called as basal nuclei. You can see a human brain, that is brain of Homo sapiens, in different images. Well, the cerebrum can be studied into by dividing into two hemispheres, right and left hemisphere, by median longitudinal fissure. Each lobe will have four lobes, that is frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital, and cerebral cortex, which has got sulci and gyri at different areas, and there is a white matter. Plus, there are cortical regions on the brain. Here you can see the cerebrum picture. You can see both the hemisphere. This is a medial longitudinal fissure, right and left cerebral hemisphere. Lot of convolutions you see, with makes sulci and gyri. Gyri are the elevations, sulci are the depressions. Cerebrum is the largest part of brain, so it makes up to 83% of its mass, and it controls higher mental functions, including all conscious thoughts and experience, including all intellectual functions. Okay, we'll study about it later on when we study the different lobes of cerebrum. Cerebrum processes somatic, sensory, and motor information, and is divided into left and right cerebral hemisphere by medial longitudinal fissure. The surface layer of the cerebrum is called as cerebral cortex, and it is made up of gray matter. The living brain is very soft, okay, and it has a consistency similar to that of a soft gelatin or a soft tofu. Tofu means like kharvas, in Marathi called kharvas. The tofu is made up of soybean milk. Despite being referred to as gray matter, the live cortex of cerebrum is pinkish beige in color. Though we call it as a gray matter, it doesn't look gray. It looks pinkish beige in color, and it is slightly off-white in the interior because of white matter. Here you can see a colored image of cerebrum. These colors show you different lobes of the cerebrum, frontal lobe, rather cerebral hemisphere we call it as. So cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres, and each hemisphere has got four lobes, that is frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe. You can see the cerebral cortex here with the gray matter, and you can see the white matter of cerebrum here. Okay, and these are the fissures, and this is median longitudinal fissure here, and you can see the gyrus, and in between two gyrus there is a sulcus. Okay, cerebrum has got a gray matter covering the cerebral hemispheres, and it accounts for 40% of the mass of the brain. Folded surface increases the surface area because brain requires more surface area for more functions. That's why there is a folding pattern, and so we get elevated ridges called as gyri. Single is a gyrus, and shallow depressions called as sulci, and single is a sulcus. If the sulci are deep, they are called as fissures. So there are deep grooves or deep sulci are called as fissures. Gray matter is called as gray because of its composition made up of cell bodies. Cell bodies contain nuclei, and because of nuclei you get a gray matter. And white matter is because of axons, and they are white myelinated fiber tracts. They are deep to the cerebral cortex. Okay, cerebral cortex is essentially a seat of neural tissue, folded in a way that allows a large surface area to fit within the confines of the skull. When unfolded, each cerebral hemisphere has total surface area of about 1.3 square feet. Okay, so 1.3 square feet, it becomes, if it doesn't get folded, it will not fit into your brain. So it has to be fit into your brain by folding. Each cortical fold is called as a sulcus, and the smooth area between the folds is called as a gyrus. Plural form is sulci and gyri. Okay, the cerebral cortex is nearly symmetrical. Symmetrical means it is same on both the sides, with left and right hemispheres that are approximate mirror image of each other. Each hemisphere, that each cerebral hemisphere, is divided into four lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. I told you that it will be coming again and again. Okay, with one exception, this division of lobes does not derive from the structure of the cortex itself, though the lobes are named after the bones of the skull that overlie them. So above them there are skull bones. So frontal lobe will have frontal bone above it. Okay. The borders between the lobes lie beneath the sutures that link the skulls together. So we have seen that sagittal suture, coronal suture. The excess plane is the border between the frontal and parietal lobes, which lies behind the corresponding suture. Instead, it follows the anatomical boundary of the central sulcus, a deep fold in the brain structure where the primary sensory cortex and primary motor cortex meet. Central sulcus. Okay, central sulcus doesn't immediately lie below the coronal sulcus; it is a little behind. Although there are enough variations in the shape and placement of gyri and sulci to make every brain unique, most human brains show sufficiently consistent patterns of folding that allow them to be named. So we get a consistent pattern. That is why we name the different sulci and gyri. There are so many sulci and gyri on each of the lobes of cerebral hemisphere. We are going to study each lobe separately later on. That is tomorrow. Okay. Many of the gyri and sulci are named according to the location of the on the lobes or on the major folds on the cortex. For example, this includes superior, middle, and inferior frontal gyri in reference to the frontal lobe, okay, because they are located superior, middle, and inferior. And then medial nodular fissure, which separates the left and right cerebral hemispheres. So it is a fissure, so it is a deep, sulcus. Precentral and postcentral sulci are in reference to the central sulcus because one is in front of central sulcus, other is behind the central sulcus. So central sulcus separates the frontal lobe from parietal lobe. Lateral sulcus, which divides the frontal lobe and the parietal lobe above from the temporal lobe below. Actually, lateral sulcus, central sulcus, medial nodular fissure, these are big grooves which are very important for the division of cerebral hemisphere into the lobes. Cerebrum is the largest division of the brain and it is divided into two hemispheres, each of which is having 4 lobes. Each hemisphere has 3 borders, superior, inferior medial, and inferior lateral. These are the borders. And 3 surfaces, superior lateral, medial, and inferior. Inferior surface has got 2 parts, orbital part and tentorial part. Here you can see the cerebrum, and this is a lateral view. So from this side we see the superior lateral surface. So this is all superior lateral surface of the cerebrum. Here you can see the superior border here, and you can see the inferolateral border here. That side there is inferomedial border. You can see the inferior surface here. So this is orbital part, and this is a tentorial part of inferior surface because there is a tentorum cerebelli is located. It is a fold of dura mater. Okay. Let us see, further information about the cerebrum. Cerebrum enables sensation, communication, memory, understanding, voluntary movements. So a lot of functions are related to cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest brain, plus it's quite significant part of the brain. Now we have seen all 4 lobes of cerebral hemisphere. I told you they are located on each of the hemisphere. But frontal lobe is mainly for motor functions and executive functions, including language. Parietal lobe is mainly for general sensations and sense of self. Occipital lobe is mainly for vision. And temporal lobe is mainly for hearing and memory. And the longitudinal fissure divides cerebrum into 2 cerebral hemispheres. Lateral sulcus divides temporal lobe from above 2 lobes, frontal and parietal. Central sulcus divides frontal lobe from parietal lobe. Everything is important. I have given here in a very precise words. Precentral gyrus, which is having primary motor area. Postcentral gyrus, which is having primary sensory area. There are association areas on the brain. Association areas are the secondary areas for the for integration purpose, integrating information. The cerebral cortex is the outermost layer of gray matter making up the superficial aspect of the cerebrum, and the white matter is the deep inside. Okay, here you can see in a coronal section the gray matter, okay, pinkish beige in color because the look is like pinkish beige, and you can see white matter is off white matter and gray matter between the folds. So it can be cortex and medulla. Medulla is made up of white matter. Here we go. Now cerebral fissures, we have already seen what are the gyri, which are called as elevator ridges, winding around the brain. Sulci are small grooves dividing the gyri. Central sulcus divide frontal from parietal lobe, and there are few deep sulci, which are called as fissures, longitudinal for separation of 2 hemispheres. And transverse fissure separates cerebrum from cerebellum. And there is a lateral fissure, which is also called as Sylvian fissure, which divides temporal from frontal and parietal lobes. So if you consider the anatomy of cerebral hemisphere, each cerebral hemisphere, not cerebrum, cerebral hemisphere has got 3 poles, 3 surfaces and 3 borders. So you can see the 3 poles here. Hemispheric word is related even to our Earth. Earth is a globe. Globe means sphere. But our Earth has got 2 hemispheres and only 2 poles, North Pole and South Pole. So there is a northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. But in case of brain, in case of cerebral hemisphere, we get 3 poles. Okay, though there are 2 hemispheres. Here you can see those poles: frontal pole, temporal pole, 2 in front and 1 behind. That is occipital pole. You can see the 2 hemispheres here in this diagram. And there are 3 borders. I told you there is a superior border, inferomedial and inferolateral. So this is in this case you can see the inferomedial border and you can see the superior border. Okay, sometimes the wordings given in the images are wrong, and you get 3 surfaces. First is superolateral surface, you can see here, superolateral surface, and here you can see the medial surface. Inferior surface is below here. You can see the orbital part and temporal part of inferior surface. Okay, I have told you earlier also. The superolateral surface is also called a lateral surface, which is convex and related to the skull, immediately below the skull. Medial surface is okay, flat and vertical and related to the falx cerebri, another fold of dura mater, and medial longitudinal fissure actually divides it, so you get medial surface there. And inferior surface is divided into orbital and temporal parts by the lateral sulcus. Lateral sulcus is present between parietal, frontal above, and temporal lobe below. Here you can see some landmarks on the brain. So you can see the ridges, you can see the sulci, you can see the fissure, difference between sulci and fissures, okay, groove and deep groove. And here you can see the specific sulci and fissures. You can see the division of frontal and parietal lobe with the help of central sulcus, okay. You can see the lateral sulcus here, which divides frontal, parietal from temporal. You can see the transverse fissure here, which divides cerebrum from the cerebellum. And you can see the longitudinal fissure, which divides 2 cerebral hemispheres. Well, now the lobes of cerebral hemisphere are 4 in number that I told you earlier, and those are frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. You can see the colors here: frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. These are all lobes we are going to study for tomorrow itself, one by one, little in depth. So tomorrow we have to come back again here for the study of cerebral hemispheres, I mean the lobes of cerebral hemispheres, and also the white matter which is present in the cerebrum that we will study tomorrow. And there is occasionally a 5th lobe, which is called as insula, and it is located deep to the temporal lobe. Actually, it's a part of the primitive brain. Occasionally, it is said that. Okay, so 5th lobe is the insula. And with this, my dear students, we finished today's episode on neuroanatomy. So first episode is completed today. Tomorrow we will come back again for the second episode on neuroanatomy. And with this, let's take a break today and come back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for episode 2. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And have a nice day ahead.